welcome back to the DCL podcast. I'm your host, Steve Creasy, and joining me today is our co-host of the show, Christy Pudick of PackYourPixieDust.com. How are you today, Christy?
I'm well. How are you?
Not too bad. Pretty relaxed. We just got back from our 3-day Ensenada Mexican tour on the Wonder yesterday, so pretty relaxed and ready to talk about it if you are today.
I am. And this was an adults-only cruise, right?
It was an adults-only cruise, but I wanted to throw something out there before we get in there.
Okay.
The 2019 sailing dates are out. That's kind of old news, but there was a lot of speculation as to, and my wife and I, Anawik and I were talking about this on the cruise, as to what, there was a missing date for the Wonder going from San Diego up to Alaska, and what was she going to do? And there was a lot of speculation of whether it was going to be a DVC cruise. And that came out, and there's actually going to be 2 DVC cruises next year. And yeah, so the sailing up San Diego to Vancouver in 2019 is going to be a DVC members cruise, and then they're also going to have one out on the East Coast, going from New York City with a stop in Boston and then down to Bermuda. So if you're a DVC member, those sell out quick. But have you ever kind of looked at those at all, by any chance, as far as like availability?
No, I haven't. And this is a question I was going to ask you on the subject. Do you have to use your points to book it?
So I was looking at it today. It used to be that you did have to. I can't remember if it was for one or the entire sailing party. Now the way it reads is if you use points for a person, you have to use points for that whole person. So what I'm saying is you can actually pay all in points, or you can pay all in cash, or you can pay in points and cash. But if it costs $2,000 for one person, that one person has to either be all points or all cash. Does that make sense?
It does. So can you pay all cash, though?
Yes.
And be a DVC member?
Yes, you can pay all cash and be a DVC member. You do not have to use points anymore to book it. And the reason why I brought out availability is, we've only been DVC members for a couple of years. This really hasn't been on my radar to do one of these type of cruises. But I did see the one this year that it must have been, and I wasn't really paying attention if it was around the final payment window, which really there is no final payment window because you have to pay for it in full when you book it. It's different than the other ones.
Oh.
But there was a point where they usually sell out, and I saw that there was availability that had come back. So if either one of these do sell out, I guess what I'm saying is if they do sell out, you might kind of watch it. If you don't get on it and you want to get on it, there is a possibility that rooms may come open later on as people cancel.
Because even if you pay in full, there's still going to be a cancellation period. So people could pay in full and then just decide they don't want to go. And then there would be a cancellation period where you don't get your money back. But then there's typically a cancellation period where you would still get your money back. And so that's what I'm assuming is happening there. But that is very interesting. I don't know that we've ever talked about this, and we're going to at some point. But my understanding, and again, I don't own DVC. I have a friend that does, and obviously you do. But my understanding is, I have a couple of friends that own, I guess. It is not a good use of points to pay for your cruise with points. Okay. So just from the analyzing the people I've talked to, you're better off paying cash for your cruise and then renting out your points to somebody and getting the value back that way than using it, because the translation of money to points does not go over well for cruises. So if you could pay for cash with those DVC points, that might make it more enticing for some of our listeners, because then if you still want to go on that cruise, you can just pay for cash and then do something else with your points.
Correct. And you know what? This is too deep for me to jump into because I do ascribe to that. However, I think there's an asterisk to it. We sat next to a couple on the cruise, and that's what they use their DVC points. And I don't want to get it. This is too far deep into the weeds to get into it, but we started doing some number crunching on some things. And I think that there's some times where if you're not going to use your points for staying in a villa, I mean, for going to Walt Disney World, Aulani, or wherever else, I think there's a case to be made for actually using your points for a cruise. But that's time for another topic, and that's a little contrarian compared to what most people say, but I'm not ready to talk about that yet today.
Yeah, so we'll get into that one day.
Yeah,
for us and the listeners, because it's interesting.
Yeah, so let me put together my little spreadsheet on it, and I think that there is a case to be made where you may use it. I'm not going to say it's a good use of your points, but it's not as bad a use of your points as I've been led to believe by listening to what other people have said. by selling them instead of using them. But that's for another day. And I guess we'll talk about the Wonder and our little 3-day cruise down to Mexico today. So, anything else you can think of on those DVC cruises at all?
No.
I guess
I haven't looked yet I haven't looked at the release yet. I mean, I know it existed earlier today as the date we were recording, but I've been full. I've been busy.
And I guess the main point I just wanted to throw out there is I know that they always sell out, and they're wonderful cruises from what people say with a lot of different extras on it. I just wanted to throw it out there that I did actually on the 2018 cruise see availability come up about a month ago or so. So there's the possibility that if it sells out right away that you might be able to get onto it if you don't get onto it initially. So, but on to the Wonder in San Diego. Now you guys got off it just a couple of weeks ago in San Diego, and I'm not sure if we really talked about it, but I just want to talk about San Diego in general. Was it pretty easy for you to get to your rental car and on to Disneyland? How did you find that whole process?
Well, we had a hired car.
Oh, that's right.
And so that was really easy because I literally walked off the ship and the guy with my sign was standing there.
Okay.
It didn't quite go as planned, and I had called Mears, and they never called me back because we did not have a van, but I rented a van. And we had like an SUV, and we did not have a car seat. And my rental included a car seat or my, payment or reservation. But we had happened to bring a blow up car seat for the earlier part of our trip. And so we just put Blake on that.
Okay. So was that in Port Canaveral or San Diego?
That was in San Diego.
Okay.
So that was Mears in San Diego. So Mears was driving us, and it worked out well because we split it with another family. So like the pricing worked out. We just didn't get what we booked.
Okay.
But I found it very easily. So,
so
I don't know if you rented. Did you rent a car?
No. So before we get into that, so Mears rents out of San Diego as well, huh? I didn't realize that. Okay. Mm-hmm. So why did we pick this cruise? I picked it probably about a year ago, just on a whim for kind of a getaway. By the end of the school year, things are just crazy. I travel a lot, so Anna week's home with the kids a lot. So my parents are going to be back from Hawaii so they could watch the kids. And I kind of looked at it as kind of a couple's getaway, let her de-stress a little bit and kind of get away from the chaos for a little bit. So that's the reason why we originally picked the cruise. And then also because it leaves out of San Diego, since we're West Coast, easy to get to. We don't have to fly all the way across the country. And some points I guess I want to throw out there about San Diego is overall, this is an amazing cruise. For a 3-day cruise for people that have been on DCL before as kind of a couple's getaway, I think it was perfect. Because really it works out to be 4 days. We flew down the night before, so we had a day in San Diego and then 3 nights on the ship. So it's really more a 4-day vacation rather than the 3 nights that you kind of think of with the 1 night in San Diego. So I thought it was amazing. It was great. San Diego, super easy city to get in, fly into and out of. The airport's right next to downtown. There's a ton of hotels downtown. That being said, they can be a little bit more expensive than if you stay outside of the city. But if you stay downtown, we took a $5 Uber to our hotel, had a great night out in San Diego, and then we literally packed our bags the next morning and walked to the cruise terminal. That's how close we were. Yeah, so super easy city to do. There's so many things to do, from the Gaslamp District to Old Town San Diego. If you want to take a harbor tour, go whale watching if the whales are in town. It's kind of the end of the season. They're heading up towards Alaska, so I'm not sure how easy it is to see that. You can go see the zoo. There's just a lot of things to do as a couple, and even for kids too. There's SeaWorld there. So very easy city. And
where'd you stay?
We stayed at the Hilton Garden Inn, and it's literally like 2 blocks off the waterfront and right next to Old Town, Little Italy. So a lot of really good restaurants around there.
And you should put in our show notes the link to the San Diego episode that we did.
Yes, I will definitely do that because there's a lot of good information on that on there as well. Parking wise, you can park at the airport for the cruise terminal. Yeah, so easy place to park if you decide to drive down from LA if you're in the SoCal area. A lot of people from SoCal are from LA, a lot of people from Phoenix that we talk to, and a lot of people from the Bay Area. So since it's on the West Coast, a lot more West Coast people taking advantage of sailing with Disney rather than having to go all the way across the country. But yeah, San Diego's super easy to experience. And like I said, we got up the next day. The Wonder was right there. We literally just got some breakfast, packed our bags, and just walked over to the cruise terminal. So really easy to do that.
Now, that cruise terminal is really small. What did you think about it?
We got there early. We had the 11 o'clock, 11 to 11:30. I can't remember if that's the first one or not. So it wasn't too full when we got in there. It was really quick. We got through the check-in process. We walked by concierge, and then we continued on down to the low rent district. So we saw where your people kind of hang out. I'm just messing with you.
I do it all.
No, but yes, check-in was really quick, and yeah, you're kind of right. It's loud. I will say that. I'm not sure what Port Canaveral's like, but you're kind of in a warehouse. It's an older warehouse. They did have Mickey out, so you can meet Mickey. And
good.
It was probably about half full when we were there by the time our numbers got called. So it really wasn't that bad for us. I could see maybe later, maybe an hour or so later, once people are really descending and checking in, it might be kind of a little bit more chaotic. But as far as getting on early, it was super easy. And
then what'd you do when you got on board?
This time, we knew our stateroom wasn't going to be ready, so we checked our bags. We didn't haul our bags with, but we brought our bathing suits. We went to Cabanas, got some food, and then since we didn't have kids, we went to the adult pool and just chilled out and relaxed. And that was kind of the theme of this whole cruise for us, was experiencing some of the things that we normally like to do, but really just getting away, relaxing, and hanging out by that adult pool. So it was awesome.
Did you, what kind of cabin did you book? I guess let's go there first.
Yeah, so we booked, we just wanted... We're kind of the people that like to be out and about a lot, so I just booked the cheapest thing that we could get. So we got the smallest inside cabin that we could get, but we got it up on deck 6 rather than down below because it's a little bit more walking up and down the stairs. So we got deck 6 inside cabin, and it was after having been with balcony cabins and whatnot. It was a lot smaller as you walked into it, and you just have the one bathroom rather than the split bathroom. But just for the two of us, it worked out perfect.
Good.
I would say the one thing that we kind of missed though is having that light in the morning,
right,
to kind of see where you are, to wake you up or whatever else. When you're in those inside cabins, it's kind of a dark cave a little bit. So,
did you turn the TV on to see what was happening outside?
We did. We're kind of geeks. We like to have the one channel where it shows where the ship was and how fast it's moving and all that kind of stuff. So, and then it kind of transitions over to the front of the ship, but. Let me try and put this in perspective. So San Diego to Ensenada is not very far. I think it's like maybe a 2-hour car drive. So
oh, God.
Yeah, this was all about, you know what this kind of reminded me of? It sort of reminded me, and I got the sense for the people on board, there was a lot of Silver Castaway Club members, so that means that they've been on cruises before. It kind of reminded me of maybe a 3-day Nassau sailing where...
Right.
People are just getting away for the weekend. A lot of couples by themselves, and we can get to that in just a little bit. But most people just hung out on the ship. So when we got to Ensenada, hardly anybody. A lot of people didn't go off. They were just staying on the ship to watch movies, hang out by the pool, and just take advantage of the ship rather than actually being a destination cruise going down to Ensenada per se.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, so I guess my point being that it's only 2 hours, so this cruise was not moving very fast.
So did you feel motion, or was it really calm?
It was calm the whole way. Matter of fact, yesterday or the sea day. So to go back to, it's a 3-day cruise. First day you leave. Second day 2 you're in Ensenada. Day 3 is a sea day. Day 4 you disembark. So no, it was, the ship was going so slow to get down to Ensenada even. There really wasn't too much rolling at all. And then the sea day, it was funny. You could see they put it on that page, like where the ship's going to go.
Going in circles.
Yeah, it wasn't even circles. They had this like kind of like hexagon sort of thing that they were doing, and the ship was moving so slow because you could tell when it's moving fast, it's windy up above. But
right.
It was barely moving, and it was just a beautiful sunny day, so it was like perfect for laying out by the pool. Yeah.
Do you have good weather?
Yeah. Okay, so SoCal this time of year in the mornings, it's going to be cool.
Right.
Yeah, so kind of like what you were talking about. You said it was a little bit cold when you guys came back from Cabo that last day.
Well, yeah, the last day it never really warmed up, honestly. But I totally get what you're saying. I mean, I don't think it got over 65 that entire day.
Okay. I think it was in the 70s, but even in the summer, well, the middle of the summer, you don't need this, but the rest of the time, if you're coming to San Diego or LA, you need something kind of warm in the morning, and like kind of a light sweatshirt or whatever in the morning, sure. And then once the sun goes down, it's a little bit cool. But the mid part of the day was absolutely beautiful, and the weather was perfect. It was like mid 70s or so when we were in Ensenada and on our sea day, so it was perfect. Yeah. So that's what we booked, just the cheapest thing to get on the ship, and we spent most of the time outside of the cabin, out and about doing things.
Pre-book entertainment before or anything, or dining before your cruise? Yeah,
so we pre-booked because it's 3 nights. You're going to hit all 3 restaurants. The one that we really wanted, or I really wanted to go to, was Tiana's and Triton's. And I guess we could talk about food here for a little bit. We got lucky, and our rotation was Triton's, Animator's Palette, Tiana, and we had previously, before we left, we booked a night at Palo, and we booked that on the second night, and it ended up being Animator's Palette night, which is the night we wanted to miss anyway, perfect. So that was perfect, yeah. And then my wife booked a spa session, and then we booked a port adventure as well.
What was your port adventure?
We did, and I wasn't sure exactly what to think about this. Can we go back and talk about food, and then we'll go into the port adventure, because there's kind of a story there.
No, we can't.
No,
yes,
we can't.
Of course.
Okay, so I'll just say Palo, amazing. We love it. Great service. Susanna, we had a gal, Susanna. She was our waitress when we were in Alaska, and we had her again. Yeah, so that was really cool. So Palo was amazing. One of these days we have to do brunch, but we really enjoy the dinners up there. So that was amazing. So couple coming on board, who are you going to sit with? That was kind of what we were thinking. Like, are we going to be by ourselves? Are they going to put us with another couple? We hadn't done this before, and I know that talking to other listeners, they've said that they put them with other couples that are sailing without their kids or whatnot. Right. And so I thought we'd be with maybe one other couple. So they bring us to our first nights at Triton's. I wanted to go to Triton's because of their escargot, and I know I'm a little bit weird like that, but I love the escargot at Triton's. So I was really stoked to do that. Food was amazing at all of the restaurants. We had really good food, really good service. But we walk in, and they take us to a table of 8. So there's 4 different couples.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Was it good?
It was good. Yeah. No, I mean, I was kind of a little intimidated by that at first. I don't know. Would you? What would you think?
Well, I've had that in the past years, like pre-child, because then it's been less of that. And it's kind of fun because you have all these people to talk to every night. Yeah.
So we ended up having just 3 amazing couples we got to sit with. They were all from the SoCal area and all had been on Disney cruises before. 2 of the couples had kids like us that hadn't brought them with, and the other couple had dogs and a cat, I think, or something like that. So yeah, a lot of super fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and we were kind of talking about the head waiter last time,
right?
And when we were talking about how they can help solve problems on the Panama Canal cruise. This is the first time my wife was even commenting on it. He came and he talked. Our head waiter came and talked to us probably about 15 minutes every night. We were there. Yeah. It was just joking around with us. And he was like, you guys all know each other, right? I mean, this is the first night. Like, literally, we'd been sitting there for like maybe 15, 20 minutes. So we're all just laughing and joking. And he's like, you guys are all traveling together, right? We're like, no. So, yeah, we got lucky. It was. Who
was your head waiter? Do you remember?
Vesco.
That wasn't mine.
He was Ukrainian, or from Eastern Europe. I can't remember right now. Cool. Valesco, but yeah, he was super nice. That's the first time my wife, Anwik's like, I don't even remember our head waiters before. I was like, yeah, they usually stop by, but they kind of, do a touch and go. But this guy actually kind of hung out with us and joked with us quite a bit. So it was kind of fun. It's the first time I've really spent much time talking to them. Yeah, so I was a little intimidated by it, but yeah, we just had a great group of people. We all kind of bonded together. You kind of have that commonality. You like cruising, I guess. You like Disney, so
right.
Yeah, so that works pretty good. But so we booked this kayak tour. And it's called the Bufadora Kayak Tour. And the big thing is you kayak out in the ocean. You get to go to see this blowhole. So do you know what a blowhole is?
Yes.
Okay, so a blowhole, if you don't know what it is, usually it's a cave that's associated with the coastline. And as the ocean swells come in, the pressure of the bigger swells will fill the cave up. And then there's usually like a pressure release point, kind of a smaller hole where the water will go squirting through and it goes shooting up in the air.
Hence the blowhole like a whale.
Hence the blowhole like a whale, exactly. So this one, I think it's pretty random when it blows, and it gets up to about 100 feet in the air. So it's a pretty good sized one. And from our kayak guy, I guess there's only like 4. I don't quote me on the number, but like 4 known ones around the world. There's probably more, but there's 4 like major ones. And he goes, but there's one more, and it's in Japan, but it's man-made. He's like, I don't think that counts. So, but we told our table mates what we were doing, and they were both like, yeah, we've done that before. It's not that exciting. And we're like, oh man. She's like, yeah, you go out there and you see some water shoot up, and it's kind of like, okay, well, we booked it, we're going. Long story short, there's probably about 12 of us, and there was actually 2 moms with younger daughters, about 8, so younger kids can go on this. And they had never kayaked before. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, kind of all different abilities. So we take a bus. It's about a 45-minute ride out to this beach, beautiful beach in this bay. They kind of give us a quick overview of what we're going to do, how to kayak, jump in the kayaks, and we start going. It was a little bit windy that day, so it was pretty wavy. And Carlos, the guy that led us, and then there was another gal that was along kind of as a guide too, kind of figured out who's a little bit stronger and would be able to go a little bit further and who wasn't going to be able to. So they split us up, and half of the group went over just to the blowhole where you kind of like in a more sheltered area so you didn't have to deal with the waves. And the rest of us, he's like, hey, this is a lot of fun. We usually take everybody up and out around this rock. Do you guys want to do it? And we're like, yeah, let's do it. So we're paddling, and it was a lot of work. I mean, it was like up and down and these waves and the wind's blowing at you, and you had to get upstream of the rock so the current and the waves would push you back towards it. And it's kind of hard to describe all this, but the long and the short of it is, it was like a real version of Cali River Rapids. It was in a kayak. It was super fun. So we got down, got up above the upstream of kind of the current and the rock, and turned around, and then we just follow him one by one, and you go around the rocks, and the waves would come behind you and like really get pushing you fast, and then you drop down, you come back up, and it was literally like being on Cali River Rapids, and you'd wrap around. You just kind of had to really kind of work hard to keep yourself in the center and steer yourself all the way around the rock, and we did that about 3 times around the rock. It was super fun.
Well, that sounds absolutely horrible.
I know.
It's so good that there's experiences for different people out there. Because if anybody wants to torture me, that's what they should have me do.
Yeah, that would be torture. I know but it was like super fun. So if you're a little bit more adventurous, and well, you can be adventurous in all different levels. But if you're adventurous in this type of thing, like you want to get out there and kayak, it was super cool. It was super fun.
That's great.
Yeah, so we did that about 3 times, and then we kayaked down to the blowhole. And his point was, he's like, yeah, if you come out to see the blowhole from where if you just take the bus tour out, it's probably about there's a cliff from the water up to the top of the cliff. There's a house up above there that they've built with a ledge with kind of a walkway where you can stand and watch it blow. But you miss about 75 feet of the water's height, so you're standing up there and you can't really see down very well. And all you see is every now and then some water kind of pops up over your head and then drops back down. So I could see where if that's all you went out to go and see, it probably wasn't too exciting.
Sure.
But
you went whitewater rafting on a kayak.
We did whitewater rafting on the kayak. And then we went over to the blowhole. And so we were like literally 10 feet away from it where it blew up and out. And you could feel the swells came in. You're like, oh, this is gonna be a big one. And we kind of rafted together. So if anybody's kayaked before this one, like all 4 kayaks kind of come together and you all hold on to each other. And he kind of controlled us so that we wouldn't get sucked into where the blowhole area was. And we're literally like 10 feet from this like massive, powerful stream of water that kept on shooting up in the air. It was cool. It was super cool. So definitely,
that's great.
Yeah, definitely a different experience than probably standing up above. I could see where that wouldn't have been as exciting to see it.
So the people that said it wasn't exciting, they didn't actually kayak. They just stood there.
Yeah, they just stood there. So when we came back and told them about it, we're like, it was super cool. And we showed them some pictures. They're like, oh, yeah, that would have been a lot better than what we did. So,
and it was cool for even wimpy kayakers.
Yeah. And because if you hadn't even kayaked before, like I said, it was like 2 moms. And they were actually.
What do you have against moms?
No. There wasn't. I have nothing against moms because there's moms that are a lot stronger than I am. They're a lot better kayakers than I am. But one of them was a grandma, actually, as I'm saying this, which, once again, there's probably grandmothers stronger than me. And she did it, who'd never kayaked before. She did an awesome job. But you can stay in a little more sheltered area. So if you want to do something like this, if it piques your interest, you can do it. You don't have to be an Olympic kayaker to be able to go out there and do it. Did I backpedal good enough to make sure that
you did well? Do you watch that Olympic? Did you watch it the last summer or whatever? That's intense, man.
Yeah, I love that stuff. So
I like to watch it. I do not like to participate.
Yeah.
All right, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it was a really cool. And then as we're going out there, she's like, Rebecca, the gal on the bus, one of our guides, she's like, okay, you know, this is set for 4 hours, but we're going to be done within 3. I've got a proposition. If you'd like, afterwards we can go get tacos. And she's like, these are the best tacos you'll ever have. They're the best street tacos you'll ever have. And of course, my mind, when somebody starts saying that, I'm kind of like, yeah, right. Well, what are they trying to sell us now, kind of thing. I hate to be skeptical, but no. But she was super nice. Rebecca was super nice, and so everybody voted, yeah, let's do the tacos. And she talked about how you're going to go in and you're going to see the gal who owns the place. She makes these corn tortillas by hand, so not the flour tortillas, but the little corn tortillas like street tacos.
Yep.
And she's got like this wooden machine that she makes them with, and she's making them as the food's being prepared, and you watch it all. And so we get up there, and she's like, okay, so they're not fish tacos, they're shark rather than fish. Yeah, and they use shark because the meat stays together a little bit better, and the fish is more flaky, and they fried it, but it was really light on the frying side. They were amazing. And they were $1 a piece.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah, like these are like, I'm not saying they're the best tacos in the world because I'm not sure what the best, but they're definitely in the ballpark of the equation of the tacos I've ever had. They were absolutely amazing, and everybody kind of said the same thing too. So, yeah, just a really fun day. So, and we didn't have to leave until like 9:45, so it wasn't like getting up super early. Slept in, got some breakfast, and we were back on the ship about 3. I guess.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, and we had the late dinner, so plenty of time to come back, relax. We went and hung out by the pool. They had a guitar player by the pool that played every day. And
well, it would have been the same guitar player.
Yeah, so you heard him play, right?
I did. That's the guy we tried to get on the to do the podcast, but he could never get approval.
I'm trying to remember his name right now, but he was amazing. He was really good.
He was really good. Eddie something or Ed something, EV.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, but so
because he gave us a pick. He gave us a pick with his name. I mean, I assume it's the same guy, but it's got to be the same guy.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. Those guys kind of stand there for a while, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, it was a great day in Ensenada. So I would say overall, a lot of people didn't get off the ship. A lot of people just kind of looked at it as the 3-day, hang on the ship, relax kind of weekend. For those that did get off, some of the options that you could do if you're not familiar with Ensenada, it's a small port city. They had a winery tour. It's actually got a pretty good wine region, I guess. They had a shopping tour. They had the kayak tour. So a lot of different things that you could do if you wanted to get off. Oh, they had horseback riding. So a lot of different kind of things that you could do if you wanted to get off and explore Ensenada.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I guess the last thing is like the little downtown shopping area is probably about a 15-minute walk. So if you, they had buses that would take you there, but if you didn't want to do that, if you wanted to walk back or kind of stretch your legs a little bit, it was super easy to get to that. So overall, I thought we kind of went into it being a little skeptical. We weren't sure if we were going to be all that excited about Ensenada, but yeah, we loved it. It was amazing. So yeah, that was our port adventure. And then we talked about food a little bit. Any questions on food that you can think of?
Where did you end up eating most of your breakfasts and lunches? Oh, and what did you think of... Okay, so answer that question first.
Okay, breakfast, we just generally do cabanas. Actually, you know what we got, which I've never done before, is the shawarma. Have you had that? Did you eat there?
I didn't. I saw that it existed. I saw it.
Yeah, that was really good. So if you're not familiar with shawarma, it's... Okay, I'm not going to be an expert here. It's sort of like a gyro. They've got either chicken or lamb and beef meat that they put on a tortilla, and then you can put all different kinds of toppings on it from there. So hummus to tzatziki sauce to onions and some spicier things in too. But we did that, and that was really good. So awesome. Yeah, so we did that for lunch on our sea day. Our lunch on the Ensenada day, we ate the taco place down by the kayak when we were kayaking. Yeah. So that's kind of what we did. And the last day because we had the late seating, we didn't have to be to breakfast until 8:30, and it worked for our flight. So we actually went to and ate in Tiana's rather than going to Cabanas this time. And it was nice because one of the other couples was going to come down there that we really clicked with. So we had a nice breakfast with them before we left the ship. So yeah, that was awesome.
Did you do any entertainment stuff with any of these couples? Like, did you see them, or did you just have dinner? Or did you guys like meet for drinks ever with any of the other people, or any of that?
No, I think if it was a longer cruise, we eventually would have, but because it was so short, everybody kind of had different things that they wanted to do. And since it is a shorter cruise, you kind of have a limited time. Like one couple, they were like really into the spa. They were doing the rainforest room. There was another couple that they liked to do all the trivia stuff. So they were going from trivia to trivia to trivia. And we wanted to kind of sit by the pool. So.
Yeah.
So we didn't do that, but we did run into the couple that did trivia. We did 70s trivia, which, believe it or not, we actually got some of those. I was like, it's amazing how many songs you know sometimes that you don't think you're going to know songs, but yeah, we're surprised how many 70s songs we knew.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
and then go on.
We ran into him there, I guess, and then we went. The only show we did was Frozen because we wanted to see that, and we sat next to one of the couples there.
Oh, fun! And did you like it?
Yeah. So without going into it totally, I had the opportunity to see it on Broadway. So the one on the ship is about an hour shorter than the Broadway show, and I think that the Broadway show is amazing. If you get a chance to go see it on Broadway. But with that limited hour, they packed the whole story in there probably just about as perfect as you could. Yeah, I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I mean, I think there were some like holes, but maybe some limitations, but we thought it was really good as well.
Yeah, and the performers were awesome. I mean, the singers and Anna and Elsa and whatnot. So yeah, I thought it was really good.
I believe you had different performers than I did because they were doing a switch after my cruise, I believe.
That's right, because you wanted to see it again and you couldn't?
Right.
Yeah.
And they said that they only offered it one time during that 2-week cruise because of training, I guess.
Okay. So this one, they offered it. So day one was the Golden Mickeys, which we skipped because we've seen before. And then we skipped the Disney Dream. Disney Dreams was day 2. Frozen was day 3. And this was cool because it was a sea day. They actually offered it at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So families that, yeah.
That is what we, for a 2-week cruise, wouldn't you think they could have figured out how to do that?
Yeah.
But, yeah, cheater.
Yeah. You got to go on the 3-day cruises, Christy. Come on.
Apparently, if you want to see a great show twice or at a more convenient time, you need to go on a 3-day cruise. What was I thinking?
Yeah, so they had it at 2 o'clock, which was awesome for people that couldn't. Great. Yeah, so if you wanted to see it more than once, or if you had younger kids where it was going to be tough with your dinner time, because, I mean, if you got younger kids, you go to dinner at 6:15, and now you're going to the 8 o'clock show, that gets to be pretty late for some kids.
Oh, yeah, we have never done an 8 o'clock show, so we've done with, like, 1 matinee and 2 early dining shows, which meant that we skipped dinner that night.
Right. So that was a great offering to offer that for families.
That's great.
Yeah. So, yeah, so Frozen, definitely a thumbs up on that. And that was kind of all the entertainment we did. We did trivia, we did Frozen. I went and did one of the animation classes, learned how to draw Stitch while my wife went to the spa.
I feel like you've done Stitch before. Is that true? No, that was somebody. That was a different listener.
Yeah, it was a different listener. I've done Mickey and Pluto. Pluto's hard.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess Mickey's the easiest. So if you're looking to try and do that, I guess go to Mickey. So I wanted to ask you, what did you think of Tiana's? Because that was our last night. What did you think of Tiana's?
We loved it.
Uh-huh.
You didn't?
No, we loved it too. I just,
okay.
I don't remember.
I thought you went, I thought you were like.
No, we loved it too. I just couldn't remember if we took the time to go into it in depth when we talked about it. Okay.
Yeah, because I believe we talked about how my son actually left with the assistant waitress, which he has never done anything like that in his life, and went off and did the conga line or whatever, but the Mardi Gras version, and then also went and danced up by the stage several times.
That's right. Now it's coming back to me.
Yeah, he loved it, and we all loved it too. I love the music. I didn't feel that it was too loud. I can see maybe if your seat was in a different spot or next to a speaker or something like that, but man, we loved it.
Yeah, I thought the music was excellent, but I like that kind of New Orleans jazz style music.
Yeah.
And they do a bunch of Disney songs. So they do a couple of actual New Orleans jazz songs, but they do some Disney songs with a New Orleans jazz flair to it.
Right. So, it was so good.
Yeah. So it was super fun. And I'm with you. I don't think it was too loud. And the kids, you could tell, were just having a blast. And Tiana goes around. She stopped and talked to your table for quite a bit, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
She did.
Yeah, she kind of did a touch and go at ours. She's like, it's a bunch of adults. Hey, have a good time. And she was on her way to go talk with the kids, which is what she should do. But yeah, I loved it, and I look forward to going back and seeing that again.
Yeah, I would for sure go on that ship for Tiana's.
Because you ate there more than once. Was it kind of a similar thing, or what did they do the second time you went there?
They did music twice, I believe.
Okay.
And then one time it was just sitting in a restaurant.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean...
And it wasn't the same, though. It wasn't the whole Mardi Gras. So you guys would have had the whole Mardi Gras. We had that one time. And the other time, we may have had live music twice in addition to that party day. But we for sure, like, Tiana was there at least one other time. The musicians were there at least one other time. And it was music, just not quite a whole thing.
Okay. And obviously, I mean, you don't want to watch the same show over and over again when you're on a longer cruise like you went on, so...
Right.
Well, perfect. Yeah, we loved it. Can't wait to go back on it, or go back on the Wonder again and eat there again, so pretty excited about that. Yeah, if you're going on the Wonder soon and you haven't seen it, you're in for a treat, I think.
I agree.
Yeah, so that was kind of our cruise. Really relaxing. I thought for the one thing that I heard over and over again, kind of as you said, 3 days is a pretty short cruise. If it's your first cruise, obviously, if that's all you can afford, if that's what fits your schedule, don't not do it. I ended up talking to a couple families, and I kind of heard the same thing where, like, by day 3, they were just kind of getting used to it and kind of figuring it all out, and boom, you're getting off. But for like Anawake and myself, who've been on a couple cruises now, or several cruises, we kind of knew what we liked, what we wanted to do, and it was really relaxing. We didn't feel like we had to do everything because we'll go back again, and stuff that we didn't feel like we missed it because we'd done it before.
How did Anawake like the spa?
She loved it. Yeah, it's really. She said she walked up and the gal was waiting for her, so it kind of makes her feel special. And she did a massage and a facial, and I mean that's just her thing. So I think it was like 2 hours she booked, like an hour massage, an hour facial. But yeah, she really loved it. That's the second time she's been to the spa, and she's got rave reviews on it. So yeah, definitely. If that's something you're interested in, I think they do a really good job.
That's great.
I do have one other thing I kind of want to talk about, but it's kind of a spoiler. And if you don't want to listen to it, for those our listeners who maybe don't want to hear some of this stuff, but I know that there's a lot of people that kind of geek out like I do about the ships. I went on the Art of the Theme Show tour, and I thought we'd talk about that after I kind of talk about disembarkation. But I wanted to put that out as a spoiler, because if you want to keep it as a surprise, then you can turn this podcast off after that. What do you think about that?
I think it's a good morning.
Okay, so disembarkation, always a sad day, obviously, but our flight left at 11:20, so
a little tiny bit early.
Yeah, a little bit tiny bit early, but not too bad. I mean, but once again, super easy. San Diego being so close to the airport, it was super easy getting off. We went to our 8:15 breakfast down at Tiana's, had a nice relaxing breakfast with the friends that we'd made, and then literally walked off. We brought our luggage with us, so we didn't have them take it because it was just the two of us. Grabbed our bags and walked off the ship. Going through customs took like about 2 seconds, and we actually walked back to the airport to get a little exercise. But it's a couple miles, so if I wouldn't recommend it unless you really want to, but you can do it if you want to. But that's how close it is. So we got there to the airport about 10, checked in for our flight, and we're headed back to Portland. So yeah, super easy getting onto and off. So San Diego, I think, is a pretty easy place to cruise out of. Maybe the downside, as you said, it's a little bit smaller as far as the waiting area goes. That was kind of our cruise. Anything else you can think of?
No, it sounds awesome.
Yeah, and we rebooked it again for next year.
Did you?
Yeah. So we're going to do a placeholder, and we decided, you know what, this is like a perfect time for us to kind of get away as a couple. And it's a 3-day cruise. We just booked it inside, the cheapest way we could get on it. And so that's kind of what we did for 2019. That's the only thing that was going to fit for us at that time of the year. So
that's perfect. And I really think an inside cabin for people who aren't going to spend any time in your room is the way to go. Really, it is. Or if somebody wants an ocean view, just so they can open that curtain when they're in there. But like my family, we spent a ton of time in our cabin. And so even if it's just my husband and I, we just really like our little tiny oasis. So that is why we go with something bigger. But okay, so everybody else, listen to our podcast, follow us on social media, blah, blah, blah. Okay, give away the spoilers.
Okay, so packyourpixiedust.com. Pack Your Pixie Dust on Twitter with YR. Pack Your Pixie Dust on Facebook. DCL Podcast on Facebook. DCL Podcast on Twitter. And we're on Instagram as well. So I just wanted to throw this out there because our listener Jessica had gone on this. So I finally got a chance to go on the Art of the Theme Show tour. If you're a geek like me, it's a great tour. Spoiler, spoiler, spoiler. Turn off this podcast. We'll see you next time. I've learned my lesson. We gave a little bit too much away on one of the cruises, and some listeners said, hey, I don't want to hear all the inside out. So, but if you're a geek like me and you want to listen to this, it's an amazing, fun tour. It's one of those tours you don't have to sign up for. You just show up and go. And
cool.
Have you done any of those? Or
no.
Okay, so this one kind of...
On other cruises, so not years and years and years ago on other cruise lines, so not on Disney.
Okay, so this one is all about the art of what they did with the ship. And they have them on all 4 ships, and there's a million different ways they can go with it. We had this guy, Darrell, and he was super fun. So you start off in Paolo, and they kind of give you the history.
Okay, Darrell, or how? Yes,
it's Darrell. Yeah.
Yes, he was doing something, some line somewhere, and we said his name, and he corrected us. So I remember him exactly. Okay,
yeah, super fun guy. So anyway, so Darrell's our tour guide. You start off in Paolo, and I just want to throw out a couple different things because I just think they're totally amazing. I won't give everything away, but and just talking about Paolo, this is kind of a cool story. Paolo, do you know what it means in Italian?
No.
It means pole.
Oh, cool.
So when you go into Paolo, you'll notice right as you first walk in, there's kind of a striped pole, and that's what gondolas tie up to. And so the reason why they built Paolo as an Italian restaurant is because the Magic and the Wonder were both built in Italy in the Fincantieri shipyards. And so to kind of honor that, that's why they put an Italian-themed restaurant on it. And so when they started thinking about it, what really stood out as, can be more iconic in Italian is those gondola boats. And so that's where they came. And they wanted something that everybody could say pretty easily. And Paolo kind of rolls off your lips. So that's where they came up with the idea of Paolo. And if you walk through the restaurant, you'll see there's at least 3 different poles like that are kind of themed out.
Well, that's a fun fact.
Yeah. And then this is kind of cool too, because when you get done eating, and I'm assuming it's the same with brunch, as you walk out, they have a book where you can sign on it with your experiences. And obviously you've done it. And I was kind of wondering, well, what do they do with all those books? Well, as you walk into the lobby waiting area before you come into the restaurant itself, they have a bunch of artwork out there. And they have several of the books kind of on display out there. And so they put them up there. But on the far end of it is you can see the original 2 books that they first put in. And all of that paper is made by a person in Italy, and it's all handmade paper, and that's where they came up with it. And you can see the original books, and he kind of pointed out, like, the original paper is a lot more rougher, and the guy's kind of refined his process, and so now it's a little bit, it's hard to tell that it's handmade, but if you go down there and look at those first 2 books, it's pretty cool to see them because you can really tell it's like really, rusty kind of books and paper and stuff like that. So, and the funny part about it is there's also masks in there, kind of, which are thematic of Venice, which I'm sure you've seen as you walk in. But
yes.
They wanted to put those they wanted to get something to decorate it. So they find these masks, and they're talking to the guy, and it's like, yeah, we want to get these masks. So the guy's like, okay, I'm going to make all these masks for you, but what you need to do, if you like these masks, is you need to go down the street, and there's a guy down there that makes paper, and you should go talk to him. So they went down there, and they see the paper process, and they're like, yeah, this will be cool. So they get the book. They decide to buy books for him. They came up with this whole idea so guests can sign it out. And it wasn't until later that they found out that they're both brothers. So, so a little, little salesmanship for them. Like, hey, man, if you like my stuff, you should go talk to this guy down the street. Well, by the way, it's my brother, but they didn't tell him that. So anyways, I thought that was I got a kick out of that. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's Paolo. He started to go into the whole theme of the Wonder, which I've never totally paid attention, I guess.
Real quick, how long was the tour?
It was 45 minutes.
And then did you just see it in the navigator like the next day, when you read the navigator at night, did you just see it listed there?
Yeah. Okay, so you can find it in the navigator. It's 18 or over, so it's adults only to take the tour. The cool thing about the Wonder, the whole theme is, who do you see when you first walk into the atrium on deck 3?
Ariel,
and her hair is up in the air.
Okay.
Yeah, which I didn't get, but it's because she's under the sea. And so then if you start looking around the atrium, all of the ironwork or the grill work around the different places, it's waves. And so the whole theme of the Wonder is actually being under the sea, which goes into goes into the carpets and everything else.
Is the thing at the top, chandelier, is that supposed to be coral then?
No, it's the flower from her hair.
Ah.
Yeah. And so
I loved it, and I think they should sell that as a barrette.
Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, so, and that goes into the carpeting. If you look at the carpet theme and the back of the ship, it's the shell that stole Ariel's voice. In the middle, I think it's, and I'm totally drawing a blank, I think the middle, I can't remember what the middle atriums are. The front atrium, I think, is her flower. The middle might be her flower on the carpeting. So,
I got to look at my pictures.
Yeah. So let me throw out just two more quick things about the carpet. All of the carpet on the ship is handmade.
Huh.
And one of those atriums the carpet is worth over $20,000.
Wow.
Yeah. And this is the last thing.
Why the cruise costs so much.
Exactly. That's what he said too. He kind of laughed about it. One other quick thing, and I'll save a couple of these for later. We can throw them in at some other time. But one other thing that I thought was really cool, but as you're walking down the hallways, you'll see the thing that drive the wheel that you drive a ship with, like the captain's wheel.
Mm-hmm.
And around the captain's wheel, if you take a look at it, and I'll try and put some pictures on here, so for those of you who want to look at this, you can see it. If you're not going on anytime soon, there are flags. They're nautical flags, and in the middle is the world with the 4 ships and 3 stars. And so he explained what all that means. And in each one of the ships, the nautical flags spell Disney, and then the ship you're on.
Cool.
Is that kind of cool? So on the Wonder, it's Disney Wonder. On the Magic, it spells Disney Magic. Then you get the 4 ships, which obviously are the two are the Fantasy and the Dream, and then you've got the Wonder and the Magic. The Magic is over in Europe. The Wonder's on the West Coast because that's where they sail, and then the 2 big ships are down in the Caribbean. And then there's the 3 stars, and you ask, do you know what the 3 stars are? Spoiler alert: they are the parks that were there when the ships were first made. So,
that's cool too.
Yeah, so it's it's Disneyland, Walt Disney World, and Paris, Disneyland Paris.
Huh.
Yeah, and so not Tokyo Disney because Tokyo Disney is actually not owned by Disney.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so his thinking is when they get the next 3 ships, they're probably going to redo it.
Although Disneyland Paris wasn't owned by Disney until recently, or was it owned by Disney and then was it taken over by somebody else and then owned by Disney again?
I think they owned a portion of it, but they didn't own all of it.
Oh, okay.
But that's probably more history than I know.
Somebody needs to write in and let us know what information we're missing. This is all cool. Okay, yes. So you are going to give us more facts later. I have to actually go and lawyer now. But I loved it.
All right, I've got a bunch more. We'll get it on the next podcast. Thanks for coming back and listening. We really appreciate it. And from Christy and I, we'll see you next time on the DCL podcast.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.